Hey, what's up, Liron here. I want to show you how basically everything is made up of shapes. They can be looked at as simple shapes, making them much easier to paint. You have time. That's another thing I want to remind you here. Now, I did sketch this in advance very loosely. I'll put up a photo of this sketch and what it looks like so you can use it if you want to. But the whole point here is you really don't need to use it. You can just sketch it out, make it. You have time when you sketch, you can just take your time and add as many details as you want, or you can trace. That is fine as well. Now I want to show you something really fun. That windshield, can you paint it very simply? Yes, you can. You can just go like this and fill that shape up. Now, when I was a beginner to watercolor painting, it was very hard for me to get the shapes accurately. What I can say about that is, with a bit of experimentation, you'll better understand how your brush works, how it moves around, how it interacts with stuff, and it will become gradually easier to do. But that's fine if you're just getting started and you're having a hard time just filling in shapes. Don't worry about it. It happens, it's natural, and it will go away with some practice. Now, we're going to switch over to a bit of a neutral color here because I want to get all these shadows on the roof of the car. Now notice I'm not switching my brush. I'm not switching over to a smaller brush. I couldn't care less here. This is all about abstraction. Now you have this background. There's a car in the background. I just noticed it now. Why not just place that in, connect it. Just connect it with the car we're working on. This is going to be the headlight of that car that's behind. Does it have to be perfect? No, check it out. This is my car. This is pretty much it. It reaches all the way back here. And we have two shapes. We have two simple shapes. Now let's place in that window to this side. This is quite a neutral black, it seems. That's one. That's two. Look at where the edge of your brush is, right? That's the thing I was having trouble with. I was trying to fill in everything with the tip of the brush, where it's much more effective to just press it fully against the paper. So you press it fully all the way where the edge reaches the edge of the shape you're trying to paint. And that solves the problem pretty much. And then you're gonna place it here. Now this is stronger paint. It's less wet, but we still have time. Even with this bit of a, I have no idea why I did this here, even with this more dry paint, check it out, okay? So this area right here, right? It's starting to dry, but I can very easily come back with some. I think I'll go with a cool neutral color and just very gently touch the edge of that shape. Even more water, less paint, and it just ends up kind of working. When you allow shapes that are, one is very dark or thick paint, the other is very light paint. When you allow these kinds of shapes to just touch, usually it ends up working quite well, actually. And then we can go back to some blue. I don't know, I see a bit of blue here. Check it out. Just with one sweeping motion, covering the whole thing up. And that's another shape. Now we have time. You can let this sit for a couple of moments. And by the way, you can apply this to anything you paint, whether it's florals, which we've talked about a bit lately, and I want to do a video on that too soon, or any other subject matter. You can apply the same ideas, same concepts, same approach, same however you want to call it. I'm actually going to warm it up a bit. I recognize a bit of warmth right here. So why not? We'll try and incorporate some color in this. Not too much, it's all quite neutral, but there you go. Now, the way I like to paint tires, and you can treat this as a dark object next to a mid-value object, is I just go ahead and paint them while touching the mid-value object. So that's how I do it. Apply this to whatever subject matter you enjoy painting. I just paint it. I let the two mix. Look at how cool this looks, right? And then we have this mirror shadow. We have this edge of the shadow here. I'm going to place the tire in. What I like to do is sometimes cover the whole thing and then come back with some water to very abstractly bring out the lighter parts of the car's, what do you call it, a rim? I'm not sure what you call that. There you go. Now the front of the car looks a little bluer. So let's switch and look at this light shape touching a dark shape. Still works out quite nicely. And touch that headlight. Include this entire shape together in one go. You can later decide how you want to break it down, by the way. You can just paint it as one shape. And again, look at how much time we actually have here. So I'm going to show you, a lot of the washes are still quite wet and can be worked with quite easily, actually. So that's another thing you don't really have to worry about. Now, I recognize there's this beautiful neutral, almost warm shadow. Let me show you. This is something that the quirks, the little things you notice, can make your paintings much more interesting. Let's add a bit of that. Here, around the edge here, you see there's this sliver of a shape, and then I can come back and kind of loosen up, especially this top left edge here. If I choose to, need more water. I have underestimated how much water was necessary. There we go. We have this nice little transition, smooth. You see, I just smoothened that edge. Look at how nice it reads now. Within the shadows, I can start introducing some darker shapes if I want to. You'll have this area, and honestly, look at my sketch. It's so loose, simple, but still it reads, right? It starts to look like something. And then I can, because I have experience in this, but you can do that too. You just recognize the shapes behind the whatever it is you're painting and just paint those in. So I'm just putting in that other car that I see. The windows, whatever details there are there. And in fact, I'm gonna just merge this whole thing with the background here. I don't care, there are some highlights, there are some things I missed, that's fine. There's another window here for the car at the back. Another same pattern. Goes to the shadow at the front of the car. And all of these little loose shapes, loose hinting at objects will really compound and look like something. Let me show you. And I have time. Again, you have time. Remember that. You have time to work on whatever it is you're painting. In fact, you have the most freedom when you realize you do have time. That's when you produce the best results you can. If you're constantly stressed about managing to paint everything, you end up missing the plot. Now, I'm not saying that there's a magic wand that I can just wave and have you not worried about it, but I will say there's a lesson called the magic wand in my frustration-free watercolor course that is kind of meant to do that. So, you know, it is possible. It is very much possible to loosen up in watercolor and get the results you want. Create beautiful paintings. It's very much possible for probably anyone, really. Now I'm going to add a bit of warmth here to the ground, but it still has to be very neutral. So I'm going to make sure with my mixing testing paper that I keep this very light and neutral. Here we go. When I get the value I want, I just go for it. And what this will do is it will give meaning to the highlights on our main car. So check it out. Once I place this and give the value to the road, it makes all of these highlights become way more meaningful. And it puts the focus on them. And this is quite light. I know it's barely visible. And I'm touching this paint. I don't mind that. This is honestly one of the most freeing things you can do if you're able to paint that way. And you got this beautiful impression you can work with, you can add more layers to, and that's fine. I think I'm gonna wrap it with this stage, but if you just put a bunch of shapes on paper, it doesn't matter what you paint. It can be, again, cars, like the weirdo me who paints cars all the time, or it can be florals, or it can be landscapes, or it can be whatever it is you're interested in. What really helps, by the way, is to have genuine interest in the thing you're painting, whether it's in the subject itself or the process and what that's going to be like, right? If you have that, it's very hard to go wrong. It's very easy to capture what it is that you want. So you see, you can start developing this. You can be as vague as you want within the shadows. You can you know, really show every detail or show very few of the details. The more context you'll add, the better it's gonna look, but at the heart of it is just good old shapes. Good old beautiful shapes that have variety to them, that are interesting. Look at what I can do here. I can just add a very gentle shadow to the handles, and then I can just come back with my white gel pen that I had to get up and get, and place in the tops of the door handles, especially in this one, and the bottom light coming through. And you see all of these little things, they add up, they look really cool. There's a highlight here, whatever, doesn't really matter. I hope that makes sense. I hope you'll check out my frustration-free watercolor course. It will show you exactly how to loosen up, especially if you're very detail-oriented, you're so obsessed with getting the details right. Check that out. I want to thank everyone who supports me over on Patreon. Could not appreciate it more. I will soon post probably an exclusive process there. I will let you know, of course, once it's out. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next vid.